Hey guys, so today we've got my mid-year makeup inventory update. So this is a series that I've been doing on my channel for about 2 years now, I think, maybe even longer. But if you've never watched a makeup inventory video before, it's essentially where I count up one by one every single product in my makeup collection and let you know how many I have in each category. And I do kind of like to compare that to my goal numbers that I've set. So I have set kind of a goal for where I'd like to be in each category. And those aren't necessarily hard and fast goals. It's just kind of where I'd ideally like to be in a perfect world. And the reason why I do this is just to kind of keep tabs on every item that I own in my collection and make sure that there aren't any areas of my collection that are getting overwhelming to me. I like to just, really what makes me the happiest is having a collection where I know I can use everything that I have and that eventually I can probably use most of those things up and nothing is just sitting there going to waste collecting dust. So that's really the whole point of this series, and if that's kind of what my whole channel is all about, so if that sounds like fun to you, definitely make sure to subscribe because I do upload at least 3 videos a week. So I do these updates quarterly, and this is, of course, my mid-year update, so I'm going to compare the numbers that I have now to my goal and also to where I was 3 months ago and at the very beginning of the year. So let's go ahead and get started kind of in order of a full face with face primer. So this is one category where I'm actually doing really well. This is one area I shared in my items I no longer buy video. I'm kind of done buying primer, like regular face primers. I just don't find much of a use for them. I kind of treat my sunscreen as a primer. I have some more matte sunscreens, some glowy sunscreens, some moisturizing sunscreens, so I don't really feel like I need that whole extra step of a primer. So I am down to 2 primers now. I haven't bought any new ones. Between this update and the last one, I used up my Milani SPF BFF primer, so I am now below my goal, which is awesome. So not planning on buying any additional primers really for the rest of the year. So unless I happen to receive some in PR or something, I probably won't, this number probably won't change. Another category where I haven't bought anything new is setting spray. So I've got the same number in the exact same setting sprays that I had just 3 months ago. There's actually one of these that is getting really close to being finished, so I see this number actually even going down for the end of the year. I haven't been that into buying or trying new setting sprays anyway, so this is another category that's pretty easy for me to keep quite minimal, and my goal number has been 3, and that is exactly where I'm at right now. The next category is foundation, and I've actually used up 2 foundations so far this year. I'm not sure if I'll use up any more this year, just because the rest of my foundations are mostly pretty full, but I was able to bring my number from 6, where it was 3 months ago, down to 5, and my goal number has been 5 this year. So I'm happy to be back down at my goal number. I feel like 5 really is the sweet spot for foundation because it allows me to have a range of different levels of coverage, different finishes, so I have different options to pick from, but I can also realistically use all of those up before they would expire. So I'm very happy with that. Concealer, on the other hand, I'm actually a little bit over my goal. My goal that I set was 5. I feel like that's also kind of the sweet spot for concealer, but I'm actually up to 7 now. So I haven't bought any new concealers, but I have received a couple in PR this year, so that's why the number is a little bit higher. But I'm also working on panning my Too Faced one that I'm not sure when it'll be finished, but hopefully by the end of this year. It is a massive concealer, but if I can finish that one up this year, I'll be very happy. So even if I'm a little bit over my goal, that's okay because I am working on panning that one. And then for corrector, I have 1 corrector and my goal is just 1. Honestly, I don't know that I would buy correctors anymore just because I don't feel like they make that big of a difference for me. I know it all depends on your undertone, but I have tried so many different undertone correctors and none of them really do much for me. I think just like a good coverage concealer is all I need. So the Becca Under Eye Corrector, that's the only one I have, and my goal is 1. That's where I've been for the past few months. So next for face powder, my goal at the start of this year was 3, which is a pretty low number, but I am also just not that into powders. For a while there, I wasn't even using them all over my face. Lately I have been as we've gotten into the summer months, but anyway, my goal was 3, and I have been at 5 this whole year. I did for a brief time bring it down to 4 after I finished my E.L.F, what's it called? The E.L.F Prime and Stay Finishing Powder. So I was doing really well, I was getting closer to my goal number, but then I did receive one in PR. Look Fantastic is the company that sent over a really generous package with some CoverGirl stuff, and I was able to pick out what I wanted, so I can't really use the excuse that it was PR because I chose to try that powder, but it's the Clean Fresh powder, the new one in the pink packaging. I'm really enjoying it so far. So anyway, my number is back up to 5. I'm not too upset about it. I mean, powder doesn't really expire nearly as quickly as some other types of products, so it's fine, you know, to have a couple extras, but hopefully I can use some of those up and just not get too far over my goal number. Also, my goal was 3 this year, but that was back when I was only using powder for my under eyes, and lately I have been more into using powder all over my face. So I think, you know, 3 to 5 is a reasonable amount for me at this point, given my current preferences. All right, so cheek products are always a bit of a struggle for me. I think I've just accepted that I enjoy having a lot of cheek products, at least when it comes to blush and highlighter. Bronzer, though, my goal at the start of this year was also 3, which again is a really low number, but I think I'm just not that much of a bronzer person. I currently have 5. Now, one of those is a Franken bronzer that I made out of eyeshadow, so it's not like I added a new product to my collection per se. I just moved that product from my eyeshadow quad category to bronzer. That's the one that I made out of my Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells quad. So that's why my number has gone up from 4, which is where it was in my last inventory update. So hopefully eventually that Franken bronzer will be finished, but that's the only reason why the number has gone up. I still think 5 is way more bronzers than I need technically, but I don't know. I have been getting a little bit more into bronzers lately too than I used to be, so. Contour, on the other hand, I only have 1 contour, and this is a separate category for me than bronzer just because I use them for different purposes. And I have just 1 contour. It's the Oma Double Take Contour Stick. It's a dual-ended stick, so I count the contour half in my contour category and the highlighter half in my highlighter category, which is kind of complicated, but that just makes sense in my brain. So doing great there. My goal is 3. I don't really see the number going up just because I'm not usually dying to try new contour products. I just have that one and it works great for me, but I have room for it if I do end up wanting to try another contour or 2. All right, so for highlighter, I had set the goal of 10, and I am now up to 14 again. Highlighter and blush, I cannot seem to bring them below around 12 to 14 for some reason, even though my goal is 10 for both categories. I can't seem to do it. I don't know. I enjoy cheek products. They're really fun for me, so maybe next year I need to up my goal from 10 to 15 just because it just does not seem reasonable for me to only have 10, even though I know that's way more than any person needs. I don't know, I just can't seem to help myself. So the way that I've been counting cheek products is even if I have a duo, I count each pan as an individual product. One reason why the number seems so high is because I've got 2 of the E.L.F. bite-sized cheek duos, and each of those has 1 blush and 1 highlighter. And then I also did receive the Pixie Glowy Gossamer duo in Subtle Sunrise. So I am counting both of those pans as 1 highlighter. It seems like the longer I count it that way, the more it's that seems kind of weird because that duo really only takes up the space of 1 highlighter, but it's still 2 pans of product. So I don't want to just count it as 1 highlighter. So I don't know. How do you guys think I should do that? Do you think that the way that I've been doing it makes sense? I mean, it doesn't really matter because either way, I have 14 individual highlighters in my collection, which is a lot, but I'm okay with it. I am currently trying to pan my Becca Champagne Pop Highlighter Mini, and it is a mini, so, I don't think that should take too long to pan. I guess I will just continue focusing on highlighters when it comes to my project pan. Also, one thing I wanted to mention, I have recently decluttered a few things. I didn't film a declutter video just because it was only a few things I wanted to pass on, and it just didn't make sense to film a whole video for that, but I did decide to pass on 4 Ofra products that I just had that were very gently used. Just because I don't really want to support Ofra anymore, just because of a few things that have come out recently about their brand owner that just making me not really want to support or give much exposure to the brand on my channel if I can help it. So their retrograde highlighter and 3 of their Flexi Slick lip products I've decided to just go ahead and pass on while they're new. And then I do have 1 liquid lipstick from Ofra that I am going to keep just because it's quite old and it's too old to pass on, so I'm just going to keep it and try to use it up. But anyway, so getting rid of this did bring my highlighter number down slightly, but then I brought in that Pixie one that I guess counts for 2 highlighters. So, and then for blush, my goal is 10, but I am at 13 now. It was, at the beginning of the year, it was 11, then 3 months in, 12, now it's 13. Just keeps creeping up, but, you know, again, I don't know. Blushes are just kind of my weakness. I have only bought one in the last 3 months. It was the Milani blush in Luminoso, but then I did receive one in PR as well, so that number also keeps going up. And I will say, even though I'm a little bit over my goal in both of those categories, I also don't feel like my cheek product drawers in my collection are getting out of hand. I feel like they're still quite manageable, and I've still even got room for more if I wanted more. So based on that, I'm not too worried about those numbers being where they are. For face palettes, I've still got the same 2 that I had in my last update, and my goal is 3, so we're good there. So now getting into some of the eye categories, my next category is eye primer, and I do have now 4 different eye primer products. At the beginning of the year, my goal was 2, but I've actually decided to bump that up to 3 because there are a few different types of like eye base products that I like to have. One is a regular eye primer, one is a glitter primer, and then I did also recently add the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk to my collection, which I'm also counting as an eye primer because it's kind of like an eyeshadow base. So I think it makes sense to have those 3 in my collection because they all do kind of different things. Now, I do have 4. I just recently also received in PR the CoverGirl Lid Lockup Primer, so that's a regular primer, just like, you know, the Urban Decay Primer Potion, that kind of thing. So I do currently have more than I need in this category, but it's also not a big deal because I know I will eventually use them up. So that's where we are there. So for brows, the goal has been 3. I've got like the ABH Dip Brow Pomade and then just like a brow gel. I did also recently purchase the E.L.F. Brow Wax that I didn't really need, but I just kind of wanted to try. Which, by the way, that E.L.F. Brow Wax I did end up trying, and I actually think I really like it. I've been putting it into my brows before I fill them in, and I actually feel like it makes filling them in easier because I've kind of got the shape of my brows in place. So I don't know, I think I'm liking it, and it's not overly like thick or gloopy or anything. It just kind of like pushes my brows down. So anyway, I'm liking that so far. But the number currently on brows is 3, which is fine. It's a bit over my goal, but I think I will be finished with that Jordana brow gel soon, so I'm not worried about it. Alright, now eyeliner is one where I've been like comfortably below my goal for a while, and I'm now a bit over my goal. My goal was 8, and I'm up to 10 now, really just because I received 3 new ones in PR, again, with those CoverGirl products, so that's fine with me for now. Hopefully I do have one currently in my project pan, the Wet n Wild Voltage Blue liner, and that one I think is going to be done pretty soon, so you know, that's fine. I do think with eyeliner, I have gotten more into pencil eyeliner recently, and it's kind of been nice to have a few different shade options. The CoverGirl ones I've got like a couple gray ones and like a brown one now, so I'll probably consider putting another eyeliner into my project pan once I'm done with the Wet n Wild one, just so I can hopefully bring the number down a little bit more. But with pencil eyeliners, I don't really feel like those go bad too quickly, so I'm not too concerned about that. With mascaras, I've got 3, but only 2 of them are open currently, and one of those will be going into the empty bin soon just because I've had it open for a while. So with eyeshadow palettes, I've actually only bought one since my last inventory update, and that's the CLARITY Cosmetics So Amazing palette. It's actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today, except I used one shade from the E.L.F. Earth and Ocean palette to kind of deepen up like the outer corner. But that's the only palette I've added into my collection, and I guess since my last inventory update, I did film one really like quick declutter video where I just shared like 10 products I was getting rid of. I just kind of showed them like this style of video. I didn't like, you know, go through my whole collection or anything, so I'll link that below if you want to see what I did get rid of. So, with that being said, my goal number for palettes this year was 20. At the beginning of the year, I was already at 18, so I was really inching closer to that number, but I'm down to 16 now because I did declutter a few, so I am very happy with that. There were 3 that I decluttered in that declutter video. I really haven't been getting the urge to buy many new eyeshadow palettes, so I think, you know, it's good for my wallet, good for my inventory numbers, and yeah, we'll see if this number grows at all for the rest of the year. There's maybe a couple of palettes that are kind of on my wish list, but whether I'll buy them or not is another story. So next we've got a separate category for eyeshadow duos, trios, and quads, so just like mini palettes essentially, and then full-size palettes are anything with like 5 or more pans for me. So I have got 4 of these now. My goal is 5. I did just receive 1 in PR, and I also purchased one from CoverGirl, the True Naked Jet Setter quad. So I would have had 5, but my Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells quad is now a bronzer, so that's no longer included in this category. For single magnetic shadows, this hasn't changed at all since my last update. My goal number was 25 and I'm at 22 right now, and I really don't see this number growing just because I just don't find myself using single magnetic shadows very often these days. And then as far as non-magnetic single shadows, I've got 3 of these, and my goal is 8, so I am well below my goal here. I did declutter 2, again, not as part of a declutter video, just because I only had a few things I wanted to get rid of. One of my ColourPop Super Shock shadows went kind of rancid because I didn't realize I put an expired oil in it when I was reviving it, so that was my bad. And then my ColourPop Jelly Much shadow also completely dried out, so that number has gone down. I also don't really see this number growing much, even though I definitely have a lot of room to grow if I want to. And then for liquid shadows, my goal is 5. I'm at 2, which is the same number that I was at in my last update. So again, I don't really see that number going up much. For lipstick, and this includes bullet lipsticks and also liquid lipsticks, my goal is to have no more than 25, and I currently have 22. So I've done such a good job keeping it below that goal number. There was a point in time where I had like over 30 lipsticks, so I feel like I'm doing really well. Gotten like a few new ones and like 1 in PR, but I also just finished my E.L.F. lip crayon in Tea Rose, which is so exciting, so that brought the number down. And I did, like I said, decide to declutter 3 of those Ofra Flexi Slick lipsticks. I did really enjoy this formula, but I just figure while they're so new, I might as well go ahead and pass them on to like a friend or something. For lip gloss, my goal is 8. I have been a little bit over that goal, but I'm very excited to report I did just use up my Dose of Colors lip gloss in the shade On Repeat. I shared that in my most recent Project Pan update. So exciting. Wasn't expecting to be done with that lip gloss as soon as I was. So that brought the number from 10 to 9. And then I am now working on panning the Clove and Hallow gloss that I have. And that one, it seems like I might be able to be done with that this month because there really was not a lot of product in there. So pretty soon I may be back down to my goal of 8, which is so exciting. I'm so proud of myself. And then for lip liner, my goal is 5, and I have 5, which is exactly how many I had in my last update as well. I haven't bought any new ones, haven't used up any either, haven't decluttered any, but I am now panning my Urban Decay one. So yeah, that's where we are. And those are all of my, oh, I think the only category that I forgot to mention was foundation shade adjusters. This is such a boring category because it never changes. I have 2 of them, a lightener and a deepener. That hasn't changed at all. My goal is to keep it at 2, and that's been very easy because I never buy new ones. So I think that that is every category of my makeup collection. So I hope you enjoyed hearing these inventory updates. It's always nice to kind of check in, see how we're doing. As a whole, I feel really, really good about my collection. Lately, I've just been having so much fun with my makeup and just using what I have and finding new and fun ways to use what I have. It's just been so much fun. So I think that means that I'm doing something right with as far as like my collection, my numbers. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you've not already. I upload lots of content about just kind of mindful makeup consumerism. So I would love to see you again soon, and hopefully I'll talk to you very soon in my next video. Bye.